close, nothing can compare. You're our living hope. Your presence, I've tasted and seen of the sweetest of loves when my heart becomes free.
Yeah.
And my shame is undone. Yeah. Your presence, Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. Oh, your presence, Lord. Oh, God, your presence, Lord. We want your presence, Lord. Your presence, Lord. Yeah. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory. Everybody sing it with me. Let us become.
Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness. Let us become more aware of your presence. Let us experience the glory of your goodness.
Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Come flood this place and fill the atmosphere. Your glory, God, is what our hearts long for. To be overcome by your presence, Lord. We want your presence, Lord, Lord, your presence, Lord. We want you, your presence, Lord. Your presence,
Praise the Lord, everyone. This is the Love Center virtual experience. This is Sunday morning, August the 30th. I'm Bishop Tyrone Smith.
And I'm Lady Savannah Smith.
And again, we are so delighted to be with you again on a Sunday morning. For those of you that have already started your watch parties and those of you that have already shared it, thank you so much for sharing it with your family and your friends and your loved ones. We are indeed delighted to be able to share this morning with you. First Lady, it's always good to see you. You looking radiant as always. Always good to be on this broadcast with you.
Amen, Bishop, and it's a pleasure to serve alongside with you in ministry. And I always look forward to our Sundays together and look forward to our being with our viewing audience. And I want to say thank you to all of you for allowing us into your homes on Sunday mornings.
Listen, to our Love Center family, to our Prophetic Grace family, to our Bridge Network family, to our my family back home, the International Worship Center with Bishop Cargo and all of our City of Hope family. We just praise God for all of you and are delighted. This is a difficult morning. As you can see, it's a little bit different. We're sitting, we're not doing our typical morning experience because unfortunately, we experienced another loss within our African American family in the loss of Chadwick Boseman. And it really, almost as it did when Kobe Bryant passed, it really hit home. And I didn't really want to go beyond this. I wanted to stay in this moment. I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to share with you my sentiment concerning it, and not to override or even think that our worship unto God is not a genuine and an important part of our lives. But there are times when we need to pause and we need to deal with certain things that have happened in our life. And as we were talking, I said to you that this year, 2020, has really been, it's been some type of year. Early on in the year, we lost Kobe Bryant and young Gigi. And then all of those that were on that helicopter with them. But because we are more familiar with Kobe and Gigi, we always reference them. But to all of the families that passed, all the families of their loved ones that passed, it was a difficult situation. And then, we lost John Lewis. And then we lost Emma Sanders. And then we lost C.T. Vivian. And now, not even far removed from it, now we lose Chadwick Boseman. And I wanted to pull the clip so that you all could see. I found something that I wanted to share with you, but unfortunately, it's copywritten and I wasn't able to share it. And that's where you saw that the video was blocked. But it was Chadwick talking right after the release of Black Panther. And he talked about these two young children that he was communicating with that had terminal cancer. And they were following him, and he had been, communicating with them. And they said that they were waiting for this movie to come alive. And they literally were fighting to stay alive until the movie came out. And he broke down. He was so emotional. And he said, it's tough. It's tough because of how that movie has impacted the world. And sweetheart, I know for a fact that as we go back over this year and we look at the series of events, and there are going to be a numerous amount of things, and I know for a fact that there are still yet things to come. But there are so many things that have already happened.
Yes, it has really been a rough year for everyone.
It really has. And this is a time when we really need to come together and to stick together and particularly as African Americans, we need to really stick together, and we need to fight against this spirit that is contentious between us. We need to fight that, and we need to find a resolve where we can not be in that place, because we're losing our people. We're losing them. And how did it make you feel, sweetheart? Just, we were out celebrating, Jayla's birthday, and we were just on our way back, and I got the text message. I got the first message from Elder Sharetta, and she sent it to me, and I was in such shock I couldn't even respond back.
Yeah, I was shocked as well when I received it from Dominic. It was very heartbreaking. It really hit home. And I began to, when I found out that he had cancer, it really did something to me. I was at a loss of words myself, but at the same time, listening to his video on this morning, that let me know that, although he was struggling with his own issues, that he still had the passion to get up and do what he knew he had to do, because other people, he mentioned the kids, were looking forward to this movie. So that was, to me, an inspiration within itself, because
Absolutely.
Although we all face our own demons, we can't let that stop us. We have to continue to move on and do the things that we know that we're called to do, because others are watching us, and we never know how our influence is affecting other people. So we must keep moving on. So that was very inspirational to me. At the same time, it's very saddening to hear that someone so young that had a very positive impact on, I would say, the world, not just our African American community, has passed so soon.
It says a lot, and I posted a comment about it, and I said his life and his passing really speaks to really the African American way. It just speaks to who we are as a people. We are so much to the world, and even though the world may not always embrace us, or there may be certain views that maybe not everybody agrees, but no matter what, we are so much to the world, but yet still fighting our own inner demons. And we put that aside for the assignment that has been placed before us. And if this is a message, in one of these speeches, I believe it's when the cast of the Black Panther movie was accepting one of the acting awards, and he was asked to give his comments, and in a sense, it almost has become a theme to him and also to the African American existence, to be young, gifted, and Black. For those of us that grew up and are in my generations, that's actually a song, To Be Young, Gifted, and Black. And I remember hearing it maybe about a week ago, and I said I hadn't heard that song since I was in my adolescent years. It's been that long since I've heard the song. But it is such a powerful song of upliftment of who we are as a people. And he gave a speech, and he was talking about to be young, gifted, and Black, and not necessarily accepted in a platform, or to be said that you will not have a place in the screen and amongst the people. And he talked about his pursuit to do this movie. And I put on my page that it just represents who we are. And if I had to title this, if this was a message, I'd title it To Be Young, Gifted, and Black. It is truly one of the greatest things that God has given us, but to the world, It is also the greatest curse. We are cursed on one hand and blessed on the other. And we fight to be who we are. And I want to encourage all of you that are viewing, especially those of you that are of the African American descent of any kind. I want to say to you that on today, that you are young, you are gifted, and you are Black. You are influential. You are charismatic. You have the ability to change anything wherever you go. That DNA is in you. You can go anywhere. You can adapt to anything. You can overcome anything. You can persevere through everything. And no matter what your inner demons are, no matter what your inner struggles can be, no matter what life is pitching you, no matter how much it takes you to get up in the morning and how difficult it is for you to lay down at night, no matter how much you have to overcome, and whether or not it's economic, whether it's spiritual, whether it's emotional, whether it's a struggle within your sibling line, whether it's a struggle within your parental line, whether it's a struggle in your community, whether it's a struggle in your church, your existence has the ability to make the difference. And I just want to say that on this morning, that I didn't want to be long, and I didn't want to preach. I just wanted to encourage everyone that as we are all feeling the brunt of Chadwick Boseman's passing, I want us to take this moment, and I want us to truly reflect, and I want us to really think about our next moves as we are still dealing with the racial divide. We just watched another African American man shot unarmed, and we watched the sporting world, how they decided that they weren't going to play sports over top of it. And I just thought that today I didn't want to do church over top of it. And you all, you may not agree with it. But I just want you to know that even as a bishop, as a pastor, as a father, as a husband, these things affect us too. And I've decided that I'm not just going to pretend like it doesn't. These things and these series of events affect us too. And we are just as mortal as everybody else. And I just want you all to know that, no, I'm in a moment of reflection too. I'm grateful to God to be married to my wife and to have my children. And it means a lot to me, those that I cover, my spiritual children, my colleagues who I pray for all over the world, business people that I'm connected to. I know the level of my influence. And I know that I have to maintain a certain level of my existence in the earth to make sure that my effect upon the earth leaves the signature that makes a difference. I'm aware of it. But at times, when certain things happen, and when they come repeatedly, it just makes you stop. And you just have to reflect a minute. And I just want to say, as we're dealing with this racial divide, and as we're dealing with all the things that we are dealing with, and as we're dealing with the loss of another one of our brothers and our colleagues, I want everybody to use your influence. Those of you that are truly of the African American descent, I want you to use your influence. And I want you to talk to this generation, because it's obvious that there is clearly a divide. We live just north of Baltimore. Baltimore is a hop, skip, and a jump. And in Baltimore through this pandemic, while we've watched our icons go home to be with the Lord, those who fought for us in our generation to have the rights, the privileges, that even though at times the world doesn't want to acknowledge it or say that it is ours, or to view us in a humanitarianism approach, to look at us equally. They fought for us to have what we have. But yet, in the midst of all of this that's going on, and then you add COVID-19 on top of it, we're still watching in the city of Baltimore countless amounts of murders and acts of crime against our own people. Against our own people. And I want to say to all of you that are viewing this live, or if you are looking at it as a rebroadcast, I want you to go to this younger generation. I want you to go to all of your family, all of your friends, all of your colleagues. And I just want you, for me, I want you to do this for me. I want you to ask them a simple question. Would you shoot Kobe Bryant? Would you shoot C.T. Vivian? Would you treat John Lewis wrong? Would you treat Chadwick Boseman in an ill way? Would you do that to them? Because, ladies and gentlemen, here is my philosophical and psychological view of the question as I pose it to you and you pose it to the others. See, if you do it to the least bit of our little ones, if you do it to those who are less, in a sense, it would be as if you had literally did it to them.
Yes.
Because who's to say that the person, the African-American person that you're treating wrong, who's to say that they're not the next Kobe Bryant?
That's good, Bishop.
Who's to say that they're not the next John Lewis? Who's to say that they're not the next Chadwick Boseman? And certainly shout out to Howard University, right down the road. That was his alma mater. Howard University was his alma mater. And shortly after he did that movie, he was asked to come and to give and to be the keynote speaker for one of the graduations. And I can only imagine how that made him feel. To be able to go back to the university that was the pathway that you come into acting, and know that you're coming back to share your heart and your sentiment to encourage the next generation of great actors and leaders. But I just want to say, go to your family, go to your friends, go to your loved ones, go to your colleagues, and just ask them, do we stop here and now view this and ask ourselves, the loss that we're feeling right now with Kobe and to John Lewis and to Chadwick Boseman and to so many that have passed, Emma Sanders, do we continue to treat each other in a disrespectful way, in a demoralizing way, in an ill manner? Do we continue to do that? But then when others who are more influential come along, we change the way that we treat them because we know who they are, and there's a possibility that there's something to gain if we treat them better than we treat the very people that we live with in our same neighborhoods, in our same community. I just want to say, we got to stop right here. We got to stop. we've got to stop and really say to ourselves that Black Lives Matter. We know that. But as I have watched it across many media networks, Black Lives Matter, but it's got to matter to us first. It's got to matter to us.
And until that happens, we won't see a change. We will continue to see the killings and the shootings and everything that's going on now that really should not be. I think it speaks of a level of insensitivity as well as it is a gap between the generations.
Absolutely. There's a significant gap. Because while these young people are right down in Baltimore and they're doing the things that they're doing, if you just ask them, would you stick up Kobe? Would you rob Kobe? Would you shoot Kobe? And many of them would look at you like, of course not. Kobe is Kobe. He's the Black Mamba.
Yeah, because there's a disconnect, and I can understand, there being anger and frustration, but we have to understand how to shift that anger and frustration into a positive way and not into the negative acts that we're seeing now. There's other ways that we can express, our anger and our frustration that can be positive to the community and to those around us. So we just have to figure out how to do that. Just because you're angry does not mean that you have to act out that anger and that way. There are other ways, and we must realize that, and we have to hold this generation accountable and help them to see that they are privileged to live in this generation, because a lot of things and a lot of the privileges that they are privy to, the people that were here before us, they had it really hard. This generation has it really, really easy, and they don't understand that. And I think it is part of our responsibility to sit down, hold them accountable, and explain some of the things to them.
And I also think, too, in the accountability part, I think we have to go back to that generation and say we're sorry. We're sorry that we've allowed the disconnection. Sorry that we haven't really reached back to help them along. Sorry that a lot of the information that we know that the history books don't say, we failed to share it with them. We failed to share with them about Black Wall Street. I was proud. One of the proudest moments I had as a father was sharing what Black Wall Street was to my sons. And they were, this is before it had come out, and they were shocked to discover what was done to African Americans who learned how to be entrepreneurs and to build on their own. And in the name of jealousy and animosity against us, tore down what we built up. I was proud to share that. And my sons did their own research after I shared it, and they came back to me and they said, Dad, we did not know. We had never heard of it. And there's so much of the history of Black people and African Americans that they don't know. And I'm going to say this, I am unapologetic about my existence. We have danced around, walked on eggshells to make every other ethnicity and nationality comfortable with our existence. And everybody else has had the freedom to talk about their existence and their race without any restrictions. But the moment we begin to talk about ours, it began to be an indictment and an insult to the human race, that for us to talk about slavery and talk about the things that were done wrong. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am very unapologetic about that. And let me be clear, my nationality is American. My ethnicity is black, but my person is Christian. I am very clear about who I am. I'm very clear about my influence. But as Christian as I am, it does not mean that I should ever feel a sense of embarrassment or reservation to talk about the very existence, the DNA that I was privileged to be born in. I am proud to be a black man. I'm proud to be a black man. I'm proud to be at this place that I am. But I'm also proud that some of my greatest achievements have come through and by my friends who were Caucasian. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm also not ashamed that some of the most despicable and some of the most deplorable and some of the most indignant things that have ever happened to me have come by African Americans. So there are two tales of the story. And many of you probably have the same. But we have to do better now. We have to do better. Let's work together. Let's come together. Because if we don't come together, because of the layers of the systemic racism and the injustices that exist in the judicial system, the criminal system, in the state, in the federal and local jurisdictions of government, all of these things that we are very clear and we are watching play out day to day. If we do not band together and work together, and as you said, hold ourselves accountable, and you were so powerful when you said that this generation needs to know the privilege that they have. You couldn't have said that any better, because it is a privilege. It is truly a privilege. It's a privilege when you can go to any bathroom you want and not have to be turned away because of your skin. It's a privilege. And we've got to make sure that we work together to make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm grateful to God that we've had this opportunity to be with you. This isn't about church. This is about reflection. I wanted you all to really hear my heart, hear First Lady's heart. I'm at a time when right now I just want to spend time with my family. I've been doing it more and more. I thank God for my spiritual children who have encouraged me, and I encourage them, and I'm grateful for them. And I'm looking to father at the highest level that I can. I'm looking to be the best husband that I can ever be. I was having a conversation with one of my colleagues, Bishop Marvin Benson. We were talking about marriage, and I said to him that I made a decision that I wanted my love for you to make people uncomfortable, because I wanted to be upfront and real. I'm never going to apologize for the love that I have for you. I'm never going to take back the value of what it is to be a father to my children. And in these moments, it's just that time where I just want to be a father, both naturally and spiritually. And I encourage that you all do the same, because as we're playing out history, and these things are happening to us right before our eyes, what does it do to us as a people? Where do we draw the line and we say that we need to stop and we need to work together? How many more of us will die? And how much of the grief will we experience before these conversations become reality? Well, I say before another of one of our great icons go home to be with the Lord, before we experience another travesty and a tragedy that brings us to our knees, I think this is a good place for us to just take a pause and start thinking about what you can individually do in the scope of the influence that you have. Because everybody has influence. You affect somebody. Whether it's millions of people or whether it's 2 people, you affect somebody.
Yes.
And I need you to affect them in a positive way, and let's make a difference.
And I would also say, Bishop, that we, in the midst of this, we have to put aside our differences too, because sometimes we treat each other in, I guess, in an unhealthy manner because of a lack of not knowing, because of ignorance. So we have to learn how to set our differences aside and not just look at the individual, but look at the spirit that's behind the individual and realize that's what you're actually dealing with, because a lot of times that's how people are governed by spirits, and they don't realize it. So we, although we are taking this time, we as a church, I'm glad that you did set aside today for us to do this, because we have to address it as well. And there's so many strongholds, spiritual strongholds that are out there. And we have to recognize that. And I think a lot of the strongholds are in our minds. And until we really realize that and stop fighting each other and learn how to start dealing with the spirit and the strongholds that we are wrestling with, we're going to be in the same place. So we have to use our spiritual influence and our spiritual wisdom and ask God for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The scripture said, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask, and he would give it to us freely. So we have to learn how, although it's a spiritual and a natural part with it, so we have to learn that balance that's needed to deal with the issues that we're facing today, and especially with the younger generation is very, very important. They may not understand it, but the elders of the faith, the older generation, it's our responsibility to see it, identify it, and address it in a way that the younger generation can understand it.
And I think when they see their icons, when they see the people that they look up to, see, it was hard to have a conversation to the narrative of Martin Luther King, because he was gone before many of them were even born. It's hard for them to understand Malcolm X. He's gone. They don't even really understand the influence that Muhammad Ali had when he said he wasn't going to go serve for a country that would not accept him as an African American man. They don't understand it. They don't understand it. And I will say, and I said to you, I said, for years I lived by a theory that if you just work hard and you stay out of trouble, you can do whatever you want. But as time has gone on and I've looked at the numerous amount of racial biases and injustices, unfairness, systems that were devised so that we could never ever get to a certain place of prominence or leadership, I had to admit, and I think many of you will probably admit too, that the level of racism and the system of it was greater than what we really thought. We didn't know how layered it really was. And in the layering of it, how once they did to us what they did, we then reciprocated it not to them, but to our own. And it has proven that the Willie Lynch letter and the psychology behind it has absolutely proven to be true. And that's why, just so you'll know, if you've never read the Willie Lynch letter, you need to read it. And I will say this to you, and I say this to our viewing audience, one of the things that has driven me as a father and as a husband to be everything to you that I could be and to ensure that when you look into my eyes and you look at the actions of my life, that you will know that there is a compassion and a love for you and our children, to ensure that I be the protector and the husband that you want me to be. Because in the Willie Lynch letter, one of the things that they did was they tied a black man to 2 horses and sent them in 2 different directions, and allowed the woman to watch, to break her into knowing that you better not ever put your confidence or your trust in him, because in an instant we can take him away. And so it is a part of the psychology of why women, and particularly African American women, have had this drive that they've got to do it on their own, because they've now watched the psychology of the Willie Lynch letter play out in our eyes, and they've watched how the system have taken away the black man. So they've had to be the mother and the father. They've had to be everything. That's why the system is set up now that you can get all the assistance from the state you want, as long as that man is not in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, it runs deep. It runs very deep. But I want you to know, I'll never let a sister take my place. I'm never going to allow anything to take away my love for you and to take away the value that I have as a father. I am going to be very committed, and even the more committed, because I want you to always smile. You know, I always tell you, I'm working for smile. As long as you're smiling, I know I'm employed, and I'll keep my job. And I want to make sure that my job is always kept. And every now and again, I want to get a raise because of what I do.
You'll always get a raise with me, Betty. You'll always keep me smiling. You'll never have to worry about me not smiling. I appreciate.
Well, I don't take advantage.
Wait, let me finish. I know you don't, and I want to say to you that I appreciate who you are as my leader. I appreciate who you are as my husband, my friend, my life partner, and the father of our children. You do such an excellent job in showing them what it is to be an African American man. You're showing them what it is to take care of your family. You're showing them what it is to take care of your life and to do the things that you know you're supposed to do as it relates to your family. You've done a phenomenal job, and I would not want to do it with anybody else but you.
I appreciate it. But I don't take it for granted. And in these moments, you gotta take a pause, and you gotta see what can you do more, what can you be better at, because it is a sad thing for a man at 43 years old to have impacted the world that like you did, and then be gone. And be gone. And I know that we will not live forever. You and I talk about this, and I share that with you all the time, that when the time comes, I want you to mourn my death. I want you to honor it. And I want you to take every dime that I leave. And I said, you're going to cry better when the sand on the beach is white and the water is blue. And I'm trying to make it so that if by chance I do die young, the next guy to try to come along, he will have a whale of a time trying to win me. Because I'm going to make it real hard for him. So I just want to say to all of you, today is a day of reflection. Today is a day to take a moment. Let's pause here. I understand the value of church. And I certainly understand the value of God. I promise you, I was already up at 4 o'clock this morning. I was already in prayer. I pray every day, and there's no changing that. That's my time. Every day I talk to the Lord, and I talk to Him about my family. I talk to Him about my spiritual children. I talk to Him about the leaders that I cover, about the connections that I have. My children know it. My wife knows it. That is a consistency that I have dedicated as a priest unto the Lord. That is my morning oblation. That is my sacrifice that I bring to the Lord every day. I pray for the church. I pray for the Reformation. I pray for the leaders. I pray for my family. I pray for my children. I pray for those that I cover. I pray for those that I'm connected to every single day. I invoke the blessing of God upon your life. But then I talk to the Lord about my individual life. What could I do better? What could I do better at? If you want to know what drives me to be me, you just heard it. That is my engine. That is the fuel to the life that I live. It is my dedication unto the Lord, how I approach Him, how I approach my wife, how I approach my children, how I approach my spiritual children, those that I'm connected to, I cover. That is how I live my life. And I look to perfect it every single day. How can I be better? As a businessman, as a pastor, as a bishop, as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a nephew. How can I be better? What makes me better? Where can I be more influential? Where can I make people see the light of the God that I serve in a greater capacity? How can I do it? This is how. This is how I live my life. So I'm pausing today. We're honoring the life of Chadwick Boseman. We're saying to his family that we so thank you for sharing him with us. We so thank you. That gift is truly a gift that keeps on giving. We will never ever forget Chadwick Boseman, and we certainly will never ever forget Black Panther. We're grateful for Jackie Robinson with the movie and all the other movies he played in and what he played in. We're grateful. But Black Panther single-handedly ignited a fuel in the Black existence in the modern era like nothing happened. The sense of pride that we had in that moment was unbelievable.
And the unity.
Absolutely.
For a moment.
And I say, in the name of Chadwick Boseman, as we are now celebrating him now resting in the bosom of God, I say we reach back to the moment of Black Panther, and let's bring that unity back. Let's bring that pride back. Let's tell these young people, don't kill another person. Because if you wouldn't kill Kobe, if you wouldn't kill Chadwick, then don't kill that another young man in the street. Because you could be killing the next Kobe or the next Chadwick. We always enjoy being with you and celebrating this moment. As always, we want you to give. Your giving helps us to accomplish ministry. If you want to donate, you can do it right from your phone. And you can text at 410-873-9100. You can just put in the amount and just give. You can go right to our website, www.tlcmv.org, and you can donate there. Or you can just do it right from your Cash App at $One Love Center. That's ONELOVECENTER. And we want to thank you for all of your donations because you are helping us to do ministry. We're planning for the time where we're going to be coming together. I'm not doing it in 2020. Don't ask. I'm not. But we are planning for the upcoming year. And we're going to have a get together and we're going to pull all the churches together and pull the saints together. And we just want to make sure that we're safe. We want to make sure that we're good. Final comments, Sweetheart?
I just again want to thank all of you for listening to our hearts this morning and just remember the level of influence that you have and use it. To our Black men and our Black boys, your lives matter. You have a purpose. Don't allow the anger to take over your life because A moment, making a bad decision in one fleeting moment could cost you the rest of your lifetime. So learn ways to express your anger and your frustrations that are positive. That way, if you would learn ways to express the anger in
Yes.
positive ways, it will have just as much as an influence to others as it will if you express it in a negative way. So that is very key. And we in this generation remember to hold the younger generation accountable because it's partially our responsibility as well. So I say all that to say Black Lives Matter, our younger generation matter, and we must find a way to come together so that we can all coexist.
I want everybody to have a fantastic week. Make this your best week. And let's make sure that the life of Chadwick Boseman and the birthing of Black Panther and what it did to the African American existence, let's make sure that we raise it as a banner in this season. As he is sleeping now, let the legacy of what he did and those that served as cast members in that movie, let them see us raise this banner of pride as a symbol to say that your life mattered as it affected all of us. We're grateful. This is Bishop Tyrone Smith and Lady Savannah Smith, and this has been the Love Center virtual experience celebrating the life of Chadwick Boseman. You all have a great week. See you soon.